good Thursday morning. The ALCS gets off to a frustrating start for the New York Yankees as they lose game 1 4-2. And it's sort of the same story in the things that we were worried about when we were thinking about this series. And that's right. It is pivot time, the most pivotal moment in Yankees baseball history, according to Brandon Tierney. But what happened? It might be. Game 2 might be, because game 1 was that frustrating, and they had a shot, man. They could have gotten to Verlander early. They could not do that. Then you get into the bullpen that we were worried about. And here comes Clark Schmidt. Bang, bang. Here comes Frankie Montas, who we haven't seen in God knows how long. Bang. And what do you have? 2 solo home runs. Can't generate anything else, and 17 strikeouts. And when you have Donaldson and Carpenter at 5-6 in your lineup, and those guys sucked as bad as they did last night, you're not doing anything offensively. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, are we surprised?
Yes, I was a little bit surprised that they struck out 17 times.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised at all, given the fact that they had to travel, they had to go, and the game was a little bit closer, I think, than I thought it was. Jamison Taillon pitched pretty well for his moments out there, and of course, the analytics geeks, let's go. We got to start doing matchups. And the next thing you know, it's boom, boom. And the Yankees strike out 17 times. And you said it. This reminds me of the last time these two teams played in the playoffs. These games look just like this.
Exactly.
And then when you get into the bullpen, it's the bullpen. Mm-hmm. And, it's not that Clark Schmidt isn't a good player or Frankie Montas at some point is going to be a good player. It's just that they're not the players. The players are in the bullpen of the other team. And, look, the Astros, hit 3 home runs last night. They struck out twice. That means there are a lot of balls in play. Mm-hmm. The Yankees struck out 17 times. I mean, and I have to say, as good a story and as great a story as Matt Carpenter has been or was when he first got here,
He's
initially
lost.
off the couch.
Lost.
He has no business being in the lineup.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
really doesn't. I mean, even the other night, his pinch hitting against the Guardians.
Overwhelmed.
He's just out of whack. And I don't know, are they seeing what we're seeing?
Yeah, this is the problem, and you mentioned it. The analytics geeks put this together. So they don't take into account the fact that this guy broke his foot and he was out for an extended period of time, and now you're throwing him in a high-leverage situation, hitting 6th in this lineup. I mean, nobody brings that in. They think, all right, Matt Carpenter's good against this type of pitcher. Here, when he was with us, he hit all these home runs in this amount of time, and he had those cluster home runs. Okay, his timing's completely off. He's facing one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he's got no business being in the lineup. And I'll add another one, too. Josh Donaldson looked worse than Matt Carpenter last night.
Josh Donaldson's playing third base. I mean, I don't know what to tell you about Josh Donaldson.
He shouldn't be in the lineup tonight.
Well, I don't know who are you going to put in the lineup. That's the problem when it comes to him.
I would put Cabrera at third base and Peraza at shortstop. I would trust those 2 young rookies more than the way Josh Donaldson looks right now. Seriously. I mean, he struck out twice on 3 pitches.
I know that.
No shot.
There's a couple times where they're just standing there
and
watching.
He's hitting 5th.
And, yeah, I know. And their knees are buckling. But that's against Verlander. We'll see what happens tonight.
But they had his shots against him early, and he got better as the game went on, and his curveball was devastating, and hats off to him, whatever. But they had shots early. And the frustrating part was, even more frustrating, was the Judge diving catch. Clark Schmidt getting out of that inning with the double play with 2 men on and 1 out, and you're thinking, okay, this could be or a bases loaded 1 out rather. This could be a big problem for them. And then he comes out for the next inning. Like, that's the thing I don't understand. Like, Clark Schmidt came in. You got bases loaded, after Taillon leaves, after the leadoff double. You got bases loaded, 1 out, gets that ground ball, get his ass out of there. I mean, this is not. We're not talking about the John Wetland and Mariano Rivera. This is Clark Schmidt. Go to one of these other guys. And I'm sure nobody would have had a problem with it. Now, if you went to Frankie Montas in a tie game, then I think people would have had a problem with it. But if you went to some of these other guys, Trevino or Miguel Castro, or guys we hadn't seen in the ALDS, or even go back to Clay Holmes or Wandy Peralta again, for Christ's sakes. But to go to a second then inning, a full inning of Clark Schmidt, after what we saw with him Saturday night, you were lucky to get him out of there with that double play. And for Aaron Boone to bring him out again, I thought was a massive mistake.
Bullpen.
But here's the thing.
And by the way, and I know, look, we all see the game the way that we want to see it, but when you're swinging and missing, or you're standing there and your knees are buckling, and you're not even sure what's coming, I just felt like, Matt Carpenter is just so overwhelmed right now, and it's obvious to all of us. I mean, he's struck out 5 straight times.
Yeah, it's bad. And, we talk about what's the bigger problem. It's always got to be black and white when you're talking about baseball or whatever sport. But it's really a combination. So, I'm saying offense, you're saying bullpen. But the reality of it is that the offense isn't good enough right now to cover up the warts in the bullpen. That's the issue.
And the other team's bullpen is really good.
Yeah.
And if the other team is going to hit more home runs than the Yankees, and your home run hitters are not hitting home runs, even though they had 2 last night, Stanton had 2 hits. Judge was an offer. Glaber was an offer.
Yeah, Glaber leading off the game and being an offer and striking out a couple times too is another big problem.
Yeah. So, look, this is the top end of Major League Baseball. This is the top end of the American League. This is the top end of, wherever you are weak, the other team is going to exploit it. And unfortunately, going into this 6 months ago, I kind of felt like this was going to be it. Now, they can still come back. They can win tonight.
No, of course they can.
When we're reacting to like a 17 strikeout, just absolute debacle from an offensive standpoint. But I got to believe that, winning a game the other night, getting on a plane and flying to Houston and playing basically with no sleep. And I know they were talking a little bit about it last night in the adrenaline.
No excuses.
Stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
There are no excuses.
No excuses.
Oh, just okay, Al. We understand. But the fact is that plays into it. I don't care what you say, it plays into it.
No excuses.
All right, but then if the Astros didn't hit, people would be talking about, I had a long layoff, and they had a long layoff, the second long layoff. I mean, whatever. We have no idea. But to me, the Yankees did not play poorly last night. I mean, the Yankees defensively were very good. The Yankees, Jamison Tyone gave you a great start. We didn't know what the hell to expect from him. We thought maybe he'd get knocked out in the first inning. Gave you a great start. Everything was right there for you. The pitch count for Verlander early on was way up there through 20 pitches in the first inning. And they had men on base, and Josh Donaldson and Matt Carpenter let him sit there.
It kind of feels like the Mets, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, when a team doesn't hit with runners in scoring position, yeah. I mean, every fan has memories of those moments where you could crack through and you just don't. And, a couple solo home runs is not going to get it done. And I don't know, this lineup tonight cannot look the same. It just can't. I mean, I don't know. Josh Donaldson's probably going to be in the lineup, but he's the biggest problem in that lineup. Now, Carpenter, I don't think will be back there at DH. I really don't believe that'll happen. Maybe Cabrera goes to, if you're going to keep Donaldson there, maybe Cabrera goes to left field, Stanton DHs, and you'll have IKF again, and you'll have Donaldson at third. But I would either put Donaldson like 8th in the lineup, or I would sit him down, because he is not the same player. He is a liability in that lineup, and if he gets up with runners on base, he is not going to deliver.
Do you think the fact that Stanton is actually playing the field leads to more hits for him? Do you remember we talked about this? We've talked about this when he plays the field.
Yeah, I know, and that was sort of like in the regular season, but in the postseason, like he was hitting home runs. He was the DH most of the time.
But last night he was in left field.
He was,
and he had 2 hits.
Okay, but he's been hitting the entire time.
Right. And he makes a really good play out in left field.
He did. And there was another play that he kind of had a shot at, but it was over his head, and he leapt, and he couldn't get there. It was very tough. But that was a nice play, and obviously the Judge play was even better, and it saved him a run early on. No, because in the home runs that he hit in the game against the series against the Guardians, he was a DH there. So I don't know. I just think he hits in the postseason no matter what.
I know we're going to sit here and we're going to just go over this for 4 straight hours. But, honestly, everybody's got to turn the page and got to see what Aaron Boone comes up with in terms of a lineup for tonight.
Well, that's
basically what it comes down to.
The discussion today is you can't – Verlander's great. But there were major holes in that lineup last night, and you cannot toss that same thing out there. And I'm with you. The first words out of your mouth when the analytic geeks came up with this, they 100% did. 100% came up with that lineup. So all of a sudden now you're going back to IKF. I mean, all of a sudden now, you've got Carpenter in there where, the guy hadn't played in God knows how long. And, the problem, too, is people are going to be on Brian Cashman this morning and every morning that they lose. But there are two guys. We always talk about home run or bust for the Yankees and how they needed to change that. There's two guys that Brian Cashman brought in at different times that are not home run or bust guys, that are base hit guys, that work the count, that are guys that'll spray singles all over the place. And they're both hurt, and they're not on the roster. And that's DJ LeMahieu and Andrew Benintendi. So he tried to fix that, and DJ was one of those guys, one of the few guys who wasn't home run or bust, especially when he had that great season a couple of years ago, and neither one of those guys are on the team. So now it's home run or strikeout. That's what it is.
Where would they be if they didn't trade for Harrison Bader?
Yeah. No, I mean, seriously, the guy's got 5 home runs in the postseason. He's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. So it's one guy who shows up every single game, that's for sure.
Yeah, that is for sure. And, thank God they actually got him.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with the injury to Hicks. I'm not saying that Hicks would be doing this. Of course, we know that, he was off and had a horrific year. And I think Brian Cashman recognized that about halfway through the season and recognized that he had to do something about that particular position.
Brian Cashman sucks.
No, he doesn't. Even though they traded for a guy that was hurt.
Yeah, no, they did, and it has ended up working out. I mean, I don't think anybody had issues with Harrison Bader being a Yankee. The issue was, did you have to trade Jordan Montgomery to get Harrison Bader?
Brian Cashman has not earned the right to rebuild this team the way this team needs to be rebuilt.
Here we go. All morning it's going to be like
this. It's pivot time.
It's pivot time, baby.
It's pivot time, baby.
It's pivot time. This is the most pivotal time in Yankee history.
Yeah.
Oh, man. They got it. This is a must-win Thursday is what this is.
Yeah, it's definitely a must-win Thursday. There are a lot of things going on today, man.
Yeah.
There were a lot of things going on last night.
Sure. No, absolutely there was. I mean, it's basically, Yankee baseball is going to be the thing that we're going to focus on, but you had the NBA open up as well. But, I feel like the Yankee fan that was positive going into last night probably this morning is like, oh my God, it's happening again.
It feels that way, sure.
Oh my God, it's this damn freaking Astros team. We cannot get over the hump. They're just too good. But, you saw their best pitcher last night. The Yankees have not shown their best pitcher yet in this series. Actually, one of their worst starting pitchers.
Now, that's the interesting thing. Who starts tonight? Did they
It's going to be
announce it?
Severino.
It's going to be Severino tonight.
So it's going to be Severino, and then Cole will be on full rest for Game 3 at Yankee Stadium on Saturday. So you'll have the off day on Friday.
And I think there is rain coming on Sunday.
On Sunday, there's rain
I
now?
believe there is, yes.
I thought I saw Monday rain.
I was listening to 1010 Winds.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
And they're soon going to be on 92.3 FM. Did
Exactly.
You know
Yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah, soon they'll be on 92.3.
Yeah, and I heard the weather report. They said, Saturday's going to be beautiful. And then some sort of weather things coming in.
All right, some weather things coming in. No,
Yeah.
Sunday, look at that. A little bit of rain. Considerable cloudiness with occasional rain. And then Monday, same exact thing. Same exact forecast. Sunday and Monday with some rain, but it's only a chance of rain 50%. So who knows? I mean, rain seriously affected the first series with the Guardians. Maybe it affects this series, but the fact that you've only got one day off scheduled in this series,
it would be nice to have it affect the series.
If there was a rain out, I'm sure both managers would like that, especially the Yankees. But I just,
it's the worst case scenario because their best pitcher comes out and has his best game and shuts you down and strikes you out as many times as he did, and your team goes on to strike out 17 times total, and you look at it, you had five pitchers for the Yankees, right? Yeah, you had 5 pitchers for the Yankees and 4 pitchers for the Astros. That's the game now. Mm-hmm. That is the game right there.
And you had him on the ropes. I mean, I don't know. I don't know why Aaron Boone's thinking, okay, Clark Schmidt again, and then while the game is still within striking distance, we're talking about 3-1, now we're going to dust off Frankie Montas, who has been hurt, and then while he was a Yankee, he was pretty bad. Like, that's another one of these things that it's all numbers. Because you remember when they got Montas, it was like, oh, man, look at him against the Astros.
That's it.
He's great against the Astros.
They got him for this particular series right here, and it hasn't worked out the way they wanted it.
But, let's talk about, and then obviously the Carpenter thing worked out way better than they thought, and, he went off and had all those home runs. So, like, they're looking at it's numbers. But let's take into account that Carpenter is completely lost since he's been on the IL for that extended period of time. Montas hasn't pitched in a long time because he's hurt, and he sucked since he's been a Yankee. Like, those things need to be taken into account as well. It's not just what Frankie Montas did as an Oakland A against the Houston Astros 2 years ago. That shouldn't be the thing that determines who comes in a 3-1 game. It's just frustrating, man. That's just, when you want an old school manager, new school manager, analytical approach, whatever. I mean, these are the things that drive baseball fans nuts nowadays. Absolutely nuts. And we'll see what the computer spits out today for the lineup. Boomer and Gio on the fan.
Well, maybe they'll put another input in there.
Yeah,
maybe. Carpenter is not playing well and hasn't played well and is not ready to play. And then they'll see what spits it out.
Yeah. All right, we do.